What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason. Guys, I still got 103 teams to go, so if your favorite team has not yet been uploaded, or there are teams that haven't been uploaded yet that you're just interested in, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you guys know when those videos get uploaded. My allergies are starting to kick in, so I apologize if I sound very nasally or stuffy in this video. Really do apologize for that, but we're talking about the Big Ten Conference today. I'm giving you guys my overall recap, my standings predictions, and my conference championship game predictions here as well. Feel free to give me your conference championship predictions in the comment section down below, what you feel like is going to happen in the Big Ten this year, some of the teams in this conference that you're excited to watch. So go ahead and reveal my standings in 3, 2, 1, boom. There you go. There are my predicted standings for the Big Ten Conference in 2022. What I believe is the second best conference in the entire nation, looking to put another team in the college football playoff this upcoming year. And you can probably see by my record predictions already, but I have them doing just that. I'll talk about who it is, although you can clearly see who it is here in a little bit. So, you got the Big Ten West on the west or the left-hand side, Big Ten East on the east or the right-hand side. And guys, I really do think the Big Ten West, which is the division we're going to start talking about, is the most wide open division in all of college football. However, there are two teams that I do not see winning the Big Ten West division. That is Illinois and Northwestern. Illinois and Northwestern are two teams that I think have a possibility of winning their fair share of games in 2022 in the Big Ten, although I don't really see either of those teams doing much in Big Ten play, and thus don't see them doing much in terms of getting their way to Indianapolis to go to a conference championship game. I think Illinois of the two is probably capable of pulling off an upset. I think Illinois absolutely can pull off some upsets this year, this upcoming season. For Northwestern, it's just this thing where Northwestern, the 1 year after they're bad, the next year, they're pretty good. So for the Northwestern Wildcats, wouldn't be surprised to see them try to make a push for a Big Ten championship game again this year, but I just don't see it. I don't think the talent is there. I think them and Illinois will stay at the bottom of the standings. When you look at the 5 teams up from that, though, I mean, really, I could see any one of those 5 teams, winning the division. But what I feel like is the team with the least likely shot to win the division is the team there at number 5, the Iowa Hawkeyes. Look, flat out, quarterback play has got to get better. That is the most important thing. With how many wide receiver weapons you're losing through just the draft transfer portal, you're losing Tyler Goodson back there as well. Your offensive line just wasn't as impressive as it has been in previous years. Now, this Iowa defense is still going to be a pretty solid defense, and it's going to be a defensive-led team. But for this Iowa team to push their way back to Indianapolis like they did last year, plain and simple, whoever starts the quarterback, Alex Padilla, Spencer Petras, whoever it may be, needs to play better and needs to take that next step in order for Iowa to get back to Indianapolis. Other than that, though, the 4 teams up, ask Siri to pick a number between 1 and 4, flip a 4-sided coin, roll a 4-sided die, whatever have you, because any one of those 4 teams can absolutely win. Any one of those 4 teams, in my opinion, can win this division. And it starts out with Minnesota. So Minnesota could be very well the team that proves to have the most experience coming in to 2022. And it's not going to shock me if they are at the top of this division at season's end. Now, for Minnesota, I think Tanner Morgan has got to get back to playing the way that he did in 2019. I think that's what Tanner Morgan can absolutely be. And if he can play like that this year, Minnesota can have a good year. They're getting Mo Ibrahim back from injury. I think he's the top 5 running back in the entire nation. And this is what projects to be a pretty solid Minnesota defense there as well. So overall for Minnesota, I project a pretty good year, although I don't think they're going to quite make it to Indianapolis. Wisconsin, this again is going to be another defensive-led team, much like Iowa, that needs improved quarterback play. However, the difference with Wisconsin is they have some pieces around them. While the wide receiver group might not be great for Wisconsin, their running group, man, their running group, and again, like a school that pumps out running backs like a factory in Wisconsin. How good was Braylon Allen last year? I mean, that kid was just spectacular for the Badgers last year. I think he's going to be spectacular again. But again, I think the thing that is going to hold Wisconsin back in 2022 is that quarterback play. And I've seen, and again, unlike what I've seen from Iowa, I've seen flashes of what Graham Mertz can be. And if Graham Mertz can play a full season under his best and true full potential, I think Wisconsin can find themselves right back in Indianapolis. But I think this is too competitive of a division, and for what Wisconsin has proven up to this point. Again, I see Wisconsin also falling up just short. Nebraska is here at second in the Big Ten division, which might surprise a lot of you, but look, plain and simple. I know a lot of people out there are going to say Scott Frost is the problem. Scott Frost has been the problem forever. Look, Adrian Martinez has been the quarterback under Scott Frost's entire tenure. This is the first season where Nebraska really is starting to shake things up on both sides of the ball. They've got some new defensive talent coming in, got some new offensive talent coming in, got some new offensive coordinators, Mark Whipple, Mickey Joseph are coming into this program. Again, with Adrian Martinez transferring out, they have Casey Thompson coming in to this Nebraska program. He figures to be the guy. Lots of talent at every single level of the ball. Offensive line maybe might be a little bit of a concern, but with Nebraska's offensive line, I think they're young, but they're good. And that might be what holds Nebraska back from a Big Ten title in 2022, or a Big Ten title appearance, is maybe that offensive line. And if, again, that offense really doesn't work out, and if Scott Frost proves to be the problem there, but I don't think so. I think Nebraska's going to resurge. I think they're going to have a resurgence this year. I think this Nebraska team is going to be pretty dangerous and pretty good in 2022. But ultimately, I do like one team a little bit more than Nebraska in 2022, and that's the Purdue Boilermakers. Man, do I think this Purdue team is going to have a special season. I think Aiden O'Connell is the second best quarterback in the entire Big Ten. I think they could prove to have the second best group of wide receivers in the entire conference. They've got some running backs coming in, some transfers over from Iowa. And even without David Bell and Milton Wright, again, I think it could be the second best wide receiver group in the entire conference. Maybe the third. Of course, it's going to be hard to beat out some of the teams from the Big Ten East there as well. But for Purdue, I also think this is one of the most underrated defenses in the Big Ten, if not the entire country. They were pretty good last year, and I think they can be pretty good again in 2022. I got the Boilermakers winning the Big Ten West, having a special year under Jeff Brom, and making the Big Ten title game in Indianapolis. Now moving on to the Big Ten East, again, some teams that really I just don't think you're going to compete. Indiana. At the bottom of that division there, I just don't think Indiana's going to compete. Don't think they're going to be that great this year. While they make some improvements from last year, I don't think they have as good of a year as they did in 2020. Not by a long shot. I see them being last in the division. I see Rutgers being second to last in the division. But yet, I see Rutgers being competitive. And give Rutgers some time, guys. Rutgers is getting more and more competitive in Big Ten play. And they're going to start to get more and more results as the years go on. So, again, watch out for Rutgers. Don't take that team lightly. They probably are capable of pulling off an upset this year against a team like against one of the teams in the middle groupings there. But Rutgers, a team, don't take lightly. I think they're going to compete, be competitive, but I ultimately see them in second to last in the Big Ten East. Maryland. You want to talk about a team with upset potential? Look no farther than the Maryland Terrapins. I think Tulia Tagovailoa, with all the weapons he has coming back at wide receiver, are going to be deadly against some of the teams in this conference that may not have as good of a passing defense to keep up with this passing offense of Maryland. And one of those teams is right above them. They're at Michigan State. But back to Maryland. If Maryland wants to have a special season and maybe get into the upper half of the Big Ten East Division, their defense has got to improve and get better. And speaking of defense improving and get better, Michigan State. Flat out, if Michigan State's pass defense does not get better, then Michigan State is not going to have as good of a season as they did last year. That is just period, end of story. I do not think Michigan State will have that good of a season as they did last year regardless. However, I think that's still going to be a very, very good football team there at Michigan State. And I think Mel Tucker will stick around for a couple more years. I think Peyton Thorne's a pretty good quarterback. They're getting a lot of weapons back at wide receiver. Some really good transfers in from the portal to replace Kenneth Walker at running back. Jarek Broussard, Jalen Berger for Michigan State. And it's a defense that returns a lot of experience. So can Michigan State have a season like they did last year? Yes, absolutely. But that pass defense has got to get better. For Penn State, I think this is the year where Penn State gets third in the Big Ten East and starts to put themselves back on that map. Look, for Penn State, this is a football team that really can give some of the higher teams a run for their money this year. Now, I know in the past couple of years, Penn State has not really been as good as they've been in previous seasons under James Franklin. But I think this is the year where Penn State starts to get back up. That was a pretty good defense last year. It's just their offense was missing their biggest part, and it was the rush game, right? Their rush attack was just not as good as it has been in previous years. And I think it'll step it up with some of the guys they have in the backfield this year. Sean Clifford, I think, is a pretty solid option there at the quarterback position, and he's got a lot of talent around him at the wide receiver position as well. So I think Penn State can start to take steps towards going back to being in Big Ten contention, and I think they'll get third in the Big Ten East. When you look at Michigan there, that's still going to be a very good football team, and they're the first team I'm going to talk about that has double-digit wins in the Big Ten this year. Well, double-digit wins overall in the Big Ten this year, I guess you could say. But this really is a Michigan team that I think can and will push for another division title. And I really do think it's going to come down to them and Ohio State at the end of the year. Yet again, the game deciding the Big Ten East. What more could you ask for? But I think Michigan losing all of that defensive talent, I think is going to hold them back. And that defense taking a step back. Can't compete with how dynamic an Ohio State offense this year. And speaking of Ohio State, they are my number one overall team in the Big Ten. They're the top team in the Big Ten East, and they are my predicted conference winner there as well. Look, that offense is just ridiculous. It's got so much talent on it, and that defense should only get better. It's got a lot of experience now coming back on it, guys with some years under their belt, and bringing in one of the best defensive coordinators in the entire nation in Jim Knowles definitely helps out there as well. So for Ohio State, you definitely expect this offense to be dynamic. And a lot of fans in Columbus are expecting this Ohio State defense to only get better as well, including myself as an Ohio State fan and as a college football fan as well. I think this Ohio State defense is going to get better next year, and I think it leads them to an undefeated season into Indianapolis, where they will play the Purdue Boilermakers in Indianapolis in the conference championship. Now, Ohio State's been here before, and I've already said I think Ohio State is the predicted conference winner. However, I think this is also Ohio State's conference to lose. Michigan could absolutely push for a spot, but I don't think they're as talented of a football team as they were last year. The Big Ten West, I think, is going to beat up on each other too much, especially the top four teams there. I think they're going to beat up on each other too much. And go ahead. Excuse me, I apologize. But no, I really think it's Ohio State's conference to lose. I think this Ohio State team is going to be unfair, and I think this Ohio State team will be one of the best two teams in college football this year, possibly in front of or behind the Alabama Crimson Tide. So let me know what you guys think about the Big Ten Conference this year in 2022. I got Ohio State winning the conference and getting back into the college football playoffs. So let me know what you guys think, and remember to play hard but tailgate harder. Again, the Big 12 is up next. See all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.